All right, today we're going to learn how to find what's called a determinant, and a determinant is a value that will be used to do other things with matrices. We're not going to do a whole lot with a determinant at our level of math. There are a lot of things you can use it for. All we're going to do is learn how to find it, okay? That's like all we're going to do today. So when I say find the determinant, you can find it. The determinant is a single number. It's just a number. That's all it is. And then to do the determinant, you can only do the determinant of square matrices, like a 2 by 2, a 3 by 3, a 4 by 4, anybody else?
5 by 5.
Sure, you know it. Yeah. And when you are asked to find the determinant, it'll say something like that, which looks like absolute value bars, but when we're talking matrices, it means find the determinant. Your answer will not be in those bars. The bars are the directions that say find it. So here I have a matrix, a 2 by 2, and to find the determinant, you do AD minus CB. So you're going to multiply A and D together, and then you're going to multiply C and B together and subtract that. So I like to say cross multiply up and subtract the second number. Cross multiply up. Okay. So with example A, we cross multiply up. -6 times -4 is 24. And we cross multiply up. -2 times -5 is 10, so we subtract 10. Our answer is 14. There are no bars, it is just 14. Can you do the other two?
You have to say A.
Well, you could say, well, it doesn't say this is A.
Like, but there's no like.
It doesn't matter. We knew that we were finding the determinant because it shows you the absolute value bars around the ABCD. So that's how I knew I was finding the determinant. Just 14 is fine. So for this one, we get 4 subtract 6, -2. And then -4 subtract -12, which is what number? So 8. Now, this would be on the non-calculator portion. So please be practicing doing things like 4 minus -12 without a calculator. Now, when you have a 3 by 3, you're going to have to do just a little bit of extra steps because there's 9 numbers rather than 4. The book shows you how to do it, but it shows you a completely different method than what we're about to do, which is called the diagonal method. So if you forget what to do, I would suggest you go look at this video or you look at your notes. I wouldn't look in the book. Well, to do the diagonal method, we repeat the first 2 columns. So we're going to write 3, -2, 4, and then 2, 1, -3, just right next to the matrix. You're just going to repeat those first 2 columns. And then we're going to cross multiply up, but there's a lot more numbers, so we're going to cross multiply up where you have a diagonal of 3 numbers. Here, here, and here. You're going to cross multiply up and put those numbers up. So we get 9, 32, 12. And when we cross multiply up to the left, those are just normal numbers. We'll add them together. And then next you're going to cross multiply up to the right, and there will be 3 diagonals of 3 numbers, but those you will subtract. So we will subtract 8, we will subtract negative 36, and we will subtract negative 12. So I'll stop talking for a moment, and you can do that by hand. Because on the quiz, you would have to do it by hand. Practice those addition skills. And if you get that one, then you move on to the next one. Well, you would not, if you missed it, you would not be the only person today. Problem is this really negatives. All right, so did you think you'd be the one that missed addition and subtraction? What number? I'm going to add together left to right. It doesn't matter if it's addition or subtraction. You always go left to right. You do it in the same step pretty much, left to right. I can go ahead and, where there's a minus, I can make that plus. So I'm going to take 9 plus 32, which is, 41, plus 12, 53, minus 8, and then what's next? Plus 36, and then plus 12 after that. It was the minus signs that messed people up for some reason. The only thing you ended up subtracting was 8 up there. All right, second one. You copy the columns, -5, 4, -3, and then 0, 2, 5, and then we go diagonal, cross, multiply up where there are 3 numbers, because it is a 3 by 3. So we get 60 plus 0 plus 0, and then cross multiply up the other way, we get minus 0, minus 0, minus 0, so 60. Before you turn the page, let me show you how to do it on the calculator. But if it's on the non-calculator section, you got to know how to do it by hand also. So both. Let's do the A, question A on the calculator. So just to remind how you go and you input matrices in, you go second matrix, you go over to edit. And it doesn't matter which matrix you want to put it in. I'm going to use A. So I'll hit enter for edit A. And it says what kind is it? Well, it's a 3 by 3. So 3 enter, 3 enter. And then I'll go through and type in my numbers. So go ahead and do that if you haven't done that yet. After you've typed in your answer, go to the calculation screen. Some of you actually don't have to go back to the calculation screen, but I think the newer calculators you do. So second matrix, do that again, and this time we're going to go to the math. And then if you look at the first choice, DET, that stands for determinant. And it says, what do you want to take the determinant of? So we go back to matrix and choose matrix A that we just inputted everything into. And then we hit enter and it says 93. Now, if you do the matrix by hand, you can check it on your calculator on your homework. And there are 2 questions on the homework that say to use the calculator for. So you'll be doing it both ways in the homework. All right. Last up for today. Prior to today, you saw solve the system. What would you have to do? Elimination or substitution? That one wouldn't be too bad. How about B? What would you have to do? What would you have to do? You'd have to eliminate with 2 equations twice. And then what would you do with that answer? Those answers. You'd have to put those on top of each other, do elimination again, and finally get an answer for one of the variables. Plug it back in, then you get 2 variables, then plug it back in, and what if you made a silly mistake? Check your answers. What if you check them and they're not right? Pull your hair out a little bit, right? Took up how much of the paper? Okay. So I'm going to show you a way that you completely use your calculator and it does not have all that work anymore. Some of us don't have our calculator. Some of you might not remember how to do this by the time you get to your homework. So I'm going to write down in the notes what we're doing on the calculator so that you can look at your notes and go, oh yeah, that's the button I push. All right. Or you can watch the video later if you're not going to write it down. If you don't remember how to do it during a test, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Okay, that's something you need to know. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to write this as an augmented matrix, which we did in the first section in here. We're going to write as an augmented matrix 4, -2, -1, 1, 5, 1. And those dots are where my equal signs were. So we'll write that down. This will be like showing your work. You're going to do most of it on the calculator. What dimensions is this? So it's a 2 by 3. So let's go to our calculator. Let's go to matrix and input your 2 by 3. I don't even hear it. So I'm going to input the 2 by 3. Once you have it inputted, you can like go to the calculation screen, and then I'm going to write down what we're about to do before I actually do it. But you can go to the calculation screen once you have it put in. Okay. So you're going to next, I would just write these down and then we can do it together with the calculator. I'll just write these down. So we're going to do matrix and then you're going to over to math at the top. And then you're going to go down until you get to something that looks like capital B colon R R E F. That stands for reduced row echelon form, which is the method that we're using. We're just doing the very, very, very basic thing. Like there's no knowledge of what echelon form even is. We're just doing it, okay? We're not getting into it. All right, after you do that, then it will pop up as RREF on your calculation screen and open a parenthesis. So that's where you're going to go type in your matrix and then hit enter. And you'll see what happens. Okay. So once you have those instructions written down, then I'll go ahead and do it. And you can work ahead of me now at this point, but I'll go ahead and do it. If you want to follow me with the calculator. So I'm going matrix over to, oh, I already put it in, over to math, and then I have to go down and down and down until I find RREF. Which is B. And then from there, I go and I put in my matrix A that I just typed in. Now, if yours looks like terrible decimals, I'm going to change them to fraction form. Do you remember how to do that? Math, enter, enter. So if you need fraction form, you math, enter, enter. That gives you fraction form. So reduced row echelon form for this is 1, 0, negative 3 over 22, 0, 1, 5 over 22. That's the reduced row echelon form. And then it doesn't show you, but these are still in that same spot. If I take this answer and I write it back as a system like it was to start, this would be 1x plus 0y equals negative 3 over 22. And 0x plus 1y equals 5 over 22. That would be the system. And we were trying to solve the system. When we solve the system, we find what x equals and what y equals, and we write it as an ordered pair. So our solution is going to be negative 3 over 22, comma 5 over 22. Well, that took a while because I had to explain everything. Let's see how long it actually takes when we do it. Question B. So question B, you need to first write as an augmented matrix. And what dimensions does that augmented matrix have? It's a 3 by 4. So we'll go type that into our calculator, that 3 by 4. So after you type that in your calculator, do the RREF, and it'll give you the reduced row echelon form, which will tell you the answers. Okay, so compare that to if you had to do that one by hand. Besides the horrible things you'd say about me behind my back, can you imagine like how much work that would take to get those fractional answers? That's why somebody had to do it by hand, and they were like, I've got to create a faster, more efficient way. So they programmed the calculators to do it for you. Should be appreciative. The directions on the homework, some people were a little confused about, so. For 37 to 41, there is specified directions, meaning don't follow the book directions, follow these directions. Same thing with 1, 5, and 9. Follow those directions, not the book directions. The other numbers that don't have special directions, just follow the book directions, okay? So some of them you will be doing by hand, and some of them, if it specifies or if the book says, you'll be using a calculator. You have lots of time to start.
Where am I going?
Oh, let me know. You didn't check in or something today? Did you come late and not get a copy?
Yeah.
That's what they did talk about.
I spoke about it, but it's real quick.